the unleavened bread was near.
We can't take that here.
Okay, so
It's
okay.
Just
Okay. The festival of the unleavened bread, which is known as the Passover, was nearing, and the chief priest and the scribes were looking for ways to kill Jesus. And Satan entered Judas. And so he went to the chief priest and he asked them, "What would you give me to betray Jesus?" And this greatly pleased them. And so they said, "We will give you 30 pieces of silver." So from that time forward, Judas looked for ways to betray Jesus. Now, it was the day of the unleavened bread on which they were going to sacrifice the Passover lamb. So the disciples came to Jesus and asked him, "Where can we prepare the Passover meal?" And Jesus told Peter and John, "Go to town, and you will find a man carrying a water jug. He will meet you. Follow him. And when he enters a house, ask the owner of the house. Tell him that the teacher says, 'Where is my guest room that I can celebrate the meal, the Passover meal, with my disciples?' And he will lead you to a large room upstairs, and you will find it fully furnished and ready. Prepare the meal there." So when Peter and John went, they found it exactly as Jesus had said, so they prepared the meal. During the meal, Jesus gets up and he takes off his outer garment and he wraps a towel around his waist, and then he pours water into a basin and he begins to wash the disciples' feet. And when he comes to Peter, Peter says, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" And Jesus said, "You do not know what I am doing now, but later you will understand." Peter said, "No, Lord, you can never wash my feet." And Jesus said, "Peter, if I do not cleanse you, you will have no part of me." So Peter said, "Lord, not only wash my feet, but my hands and my head as well." And Jesus said, "Peter, anyone who is bathed is clean. All they need is their feet washed. You are clean, but not all of you." And Jesus said this because he knew who was going to betray him. Now when Jesus finished washing the disciples' feet, he went and he put his robe back on and he sat down at the table and he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and that is correct, for that is who I am. And if I am your Lord and teacher, and I have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you as an example, and you should do as I have done for you. For truly I tell you, servants are not greater than their masters, nor are messengers greater than the ones who have sent them. If you know the things to do, you would be blessed if you do them." Now, Jesus became troubled in his spirit, and he said, "One of you will betray me, for it is written, and the Son of Man will go just as it is written." And so they came in, and the disciples started talking to each other because they were confused. They did not understand why he said this, and they started saying, "Lord, surely not I." Even Judas, the betrayer, said, "Rabbi, surely not I." And Jesus said, "You have said so." And so now the disciple who Jesus loves was reclining beside Jesus, and Peter motioned to him to ask Jesus, "Who is he talking about?" So he asked him, and Jesus said, "The one who I give this bread to after I have dipped it in the dish." So he dipped the bread and he gave it to Judas. And immediately Satan entered him, and Jesus said, "Go, do quickly what you intend to do." Judas got up and left. Now, once again, the disciples were confused because they didn't understand why Jesus had said this. And they thought, well, okay, Judas has control of the common purse. So maybe, just maybe, Jesus is sending him out to buy something for the festival, or maybe to give something to the poor. Then, during the meal, Jesus takes a bread, and after giving thanks, he breaks it. And he gives it to his disciples, and he says, "This is my body. Do this in remembrance of me." And then he takes a cup, and after giving thanks, he says, "This is a new covenant in my blood, which has been poured out for you, and for the forgiveness of sins. And truly, I tell you, I will never again drink of the fruit of this vine until I drink it with you anew in the Father's kingdom." After they had sang songs and hymns, they went to the Mount of Olives.